Hi kids, it's Teacher Nemcy again. So today, I'm going to teach you how you could paint water lily paintings like this one with just using acrylic paints and also your fingers. But what do we need to prepare first? So we have to know the materials. So with that, make sure also that you have to wear your aprons or big old shirt to protect your clothes. For the materials, you will be needing watercolor paper. To hold your paints, you may use a paper plate or if you have a mixing plate. Of course, for the paints, you will be using acrylics. I have here white, green, blue, and warm colors of either red or yellow. This one's a sponge. I got this one from our kitchen. And then rag to wipe your fingers. You may use also napkins or tissue if you don't have rag. And then a masking tape or any tape that you have to secure your paper. To paint your background, make sure paints white, blue, and green are ready on your mixing plate. Tape the paper that you'll be painting so that it won't be moving around. Dab one side of the sponge on blue and then start dabbing or stamping it around your watercolor paper. Make sure you have spaces in between for the other colors when you put them later on. For the next color, I chose green. Make sure that you use a cleaner side of the sponge that you're using. Dab it in between the color blue that you did earlier. And the last color is white. Make sure that you stamp it between the colors or even over it. Do not overstamp so that it won't be blending too much. Let it dry for a while. While waiting, you may clean your sponge and wash your hands. It is important that the water background is totally dry before we finger paint the lily pads. I'm using a darker green color here. You may add a little yellow to make it a bit brighter, or you can use it as a highlight for your lily pads. Imagine that when you paint your lily pads, it is lying flat on the water background that you earlier painted. Like the background earlier, make sure that the painted lily pads are dried up before we start painting the water lilies later. For the last step, we are going to add the water lilies. Have your white paint and red paint ready on your paper plate or mixing plate. Like in the first two steps, we make sure that the earlier paints are dried up before we put the next ones. So here I'm checking if my background and my water lily pads are already dry. Now using your fingers, dip it in your white paint and start painting the petals of your water lilies. Okay, be careful. Make sure that you do one petal at a time. And then we let it dry a bit before adding the red details inside the flowers. It's nice also to paint a streak of white like a petal in front of the paints that you earlier painted so that it would have an illusion that your water lilies are like about to open or it's still closed. So there you have it, kids. You've seen how I did my finger painted water lilies. Now that you know how I did it, it's time for you to try it. So I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, clean up your materials after painting. So happy finger painting! Bye!